they were able to completely migrate their data from on-prem to cloud, and then they're able to really find a new way of serving their clients. And they're making big strides, and it wasn't easy. It was a big transformational project. It's been going on. It's going to continue to go on. But really, it was one that started with the tone at the top, and then understanding the importance of data, understanding the importance of talent like yourselves, and how you can actually be, you can actually impact this journey and be made as part of the bigger picture, as part of this journey. Some other cases are, again, a data management case study. This was a huge retail, sort of a discount retailer in the US that had data sitting scattered everywhere. But by understanding this, realizing this, and then building just a simple, so this one is not even a fancy AI. It's just building the master data management, bringing everything together. They were able to make a huge impact. They actually saved $11 million just by doing this exercise of consolidating their data. So I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to stick to the last takeaway notes. So you've heard from me, why AI, why now? It's been around for years. Why is now a big deal? Insight-driven organization. But really, a few points that I want you to take away from here is, first of all, know your onions. Knowledge is key. Never stop self-developing. If you want to gain skills in an area, work hard and get that done. Drive a culture of innovation. Just like how Ayodele and the team have this whole DataFest is the brainchild of their passion, right? They're like, why not? Let's do this together. Think outside the box. Have that innovation culture. But most importantly, follow your passion. Every single one of you sitting here has a different passion. I just want you to be very clear. You don't need to be in a financial service industry. You don't need to work with financial data to do AI. You don't need to think of all of these typical sort of cliche jobs that currently we know is a lot more mature. But AI doesn't stop there. If your passion is healthcare, you can use data analytics and AI to make an advancement in that. If your passion is education, there's education technology that you can use AI and analytics to actually help the children to learn better, to actually be able to extend education to remote areas where they may not be able to have physical teachers. Even if you're interested in, what can we think? Fashion. If you're interested in fashion, you can actually use AI. There's a company in the UK that uses AI to be able to predict what will go with what and what your interests are based on what you describe. So every single area, if you're in entertainment, if you love gaming, machine learning has been used in gaming for the longest time. So find your passion and really learn what AI can and data analytics can make an impact in that area. And finally, be purple, my friend. Doesn't matter what shade of purple, but be purple. If you have the right technical skills combined with your passion, understanding the business problem, then the world is your oyster. Thank you very much.
Oh, know your onions. Thank you very much, Jania. Yeah. Okay. Just a quick one. Yeah. So, on behalf of everyone here at DataFest Africa, the planning team, and the awesome audience here, we want to present this to you as a token and say thank you for coming. And please raise the photograph.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, wow. That was an awesome one. I mean, the thing that struck me there was know your onions. Be purple. So even as I'm black like this, I can be purple too. Okay? Wow. Know your onions. if you don't go with anything today, please know your onions. So your onions can be data analytics, being a data analyst, can be data engineering, or being a data scientist, but know your onions and be purple. Yeah.
Why did you enter my mind and say what I wanted to say? Like, I think that for me, of course, like, our presentation, I think, was really wholesome and very all-rounder. But, like, the key takeaway for me was being purple. Maybe because it's something that I've always talked about a lot, too. Like, it's good to know Python. It's good to know Power BI. It's good to know SQL. But SQL is only as important as you apply it to solve a business problem. And you cannot apply it to solve a business problem if you don't understand the business enough to understand the business problem. So that was why, like, the aspect of being purple was really big for me. I was like my own key takeaway from that session.
Okay, yeah. So just a quick one. If you were able to check in successfully, kindly check your mail. There's an action item for you guys there, more or less like a feedback. Yeah, I mean, you don't know he's working out with ₦1 million today by just filling that feedback form or something. Yeah.
Without further ado, we would go on to the next session that we have for today. The speaker for that next session, like, I feel like I'm not worthy to introduce him, but for the time that I'm carrying this mic, luckily for me, I'm introducing him. This person is a Microsoft's most valuable professional with over 20 years of experience in training and consulting. He is an accredited master trainer and master instructional designer with the Association of Talent Development. He has trained more than 20,000 people for free in analytics, and he's also a member of different professional bodies, CFA, ICANN, CITN. He's an advisor and consultant to the Nigerian Governors Forum. I thought you guys would be happy when you had 20,000 free trainings, because I like free things. For the past 15 years, David has built a robust analytics system for worldwide clientele with the Brown Consulting. He worked as a tax and corporate finance consultant for Anderson, for KPMG, and also as an international consultant to the World Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome David Brown. You know, I first knew David through David A. They call them David A and David B. I knew him through David A. David A was my friend and used to work with him. David is my friend and he used to work with David B. And he always had so many nice things to say about him. And I'm really looking forward to everything that David has to share with us in this session. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello, everybody. Well, I kind of went around and had a few chats with people, and I'm glad to say there are some people here that have jackpot. They've already jackpot, but they're here. Do you understand what I'm saying? They're earning dollars right here, sitting here. And I've actually talked to a few. I've talked to two that are earning at least $3,000 a month right now. Yeah, seriously. I'm not going to tell you who it is. They said I should keep it secret, so I'll keep it secret. But how did they do it? How did they do it? And wouldn't you like to do that? Anybody like to do that here? Okay. Please don't jackpot. Stay here and earn that money, because where we live in a cloud-based world, isn't it? So you don't need to leave. I mean, there's no pounded yam in America. It's not the same pounded yam. And I have to eat pounded yam. Anytime I travel, I look for a Nigerian restaurant after 1 week. I can't survive with potatoes. Anyway, so on a lighter note, so I'm going to talk about data culture and teams. Let me see, hopefully this works. Okay, so data culture and teams. So for me, I've been a lover of data for a very, very, very long time. Long before computers. My project, I wrote it by, there wasn't internet when I was writing my project. I needed a lot of data. So I remember going to one store like that had old Economist. Who reads the Economist newspaper, Economics magazine? Every week, the Economist. If you really want to improve your critical thinking skills, be reading the Economist every week, right? Or do the audio every week. So I bought a pile of old Economist newspapers, about 100 of them, reading through them, and that was my research for my project. Yeah, obviously now it's just a click, right? So everybody's holding a powerful tool. Can you put it up? Extremely powerful tool, right? How many of you, everybody has a smartphone, right? I recently got a Nokia, that old one, for 5K, because someone unfortunately decided to transfer my phone. They transferred it to themselves. So I got that old stuff, and I kind of remembered, like, we're so attached to this thing. We're so attached to it. Why is that? Anybody know? We love data. It's all about every single time you look at this data you're looking at. You're looking at data, oh, who said this in chat? Instagram, you laugh. It's data. So we love data, and this tool is our ticket to everything. So we're going to use that tool. I'm going to gather data from you. Let me just go through. That's me, and these are all the places I've worked. I've worked everywhere there's data, yeah. Anderson, big problem they had was they kind of did something bad with data. Who knows Enron? They kind of messed up that data there, and that's kind of brought their downfall. Or should I say our downfall? 70,000 people lost their jobs worldwide in one day. Just like that. Because they shredded data. Although, at the end of the day, they said it wasn't their fault, but we had already lost our jobs. So data is everywhere. It's not now that there's the internet revolution that data just started. Data has been everywhere ever since. So this is where I work. I work at D. Brown Consulting. What we do is training and consulting services. We build data analytic solutions with clients, not for clients, with clients. And the nice thing is the technology today is so powerful that everybody is a citizen developer. Everybody in the organization can become a citizen developer. And then what I'm going to talk about in data teams is how can you formalize that? How can you make that, how can you leverage that process of everyone working with data and then structure it in a way that can leverage your organization to do better things? So that's what we do. We do training and consulting. At the end of the day, I'm going to give you a gift. There's a gift at the end, so make sure your phones are ready. You need your data device to get that gift. So data culture and teams. Can you scan this code? If you don't have, some people probably don't have that QR. Well, go to pollev.com. If you don't have the ability to scan, go to the website pollev.com. Type D Brown as the room, and then go into the room. All right? Once you scan that, there's a question there. Please answer the question. Let me see, what's the question? What experience do you have working with corporate data? All right. I'll give you a few seconds to log on. So let's assume there are 1,000 people here, and everybody enters this data. I've just collected 1,000 data points. Do you know how difficult that was to do before? I'll take a form. Can you pass out the forms, those forms? Of course, there's no forms, right? You fill it out and stuff. Then you gather all the forms, right? And some poor guy sitting at the corner, 1 week, please type everything out. He will type everything out, and then another guy will now come and analyze that data, and then another guy will come and interpret that data. All of that can be done in 5 seconds now. The world is getting faster and faster and faster with data. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't use your own insights. Please, some people just rely on data and don't think. You've stopped thinking because everything is done. Please don't stop thinking. You need to think. I can give you a story where I stopped thinking. I was in the US going to somewhere that was supposed to be close. Google Maps said, yeah, well, Google Maps kind of took me basically on a 2-hour journey to another city. And because I stopped thinking, I mean, this place was supposed to be 20 minutes, 2 hours, and I went to another city and it was one dead end. I'm like, oh, wow. Don't stop thinking. All right, so I want to know my audience. Students, 0 experience, 50%. 1 to 3 years experience, 50%. I know there are some gurus in the house. Some people are not entering data. They're using data for something else. They're probably already sending some emails and stuff like that. I want your data to concentrate on this presentation. Yes, everybody? So anyway, let's enter some more data. 50-50 means not many people have entered. What's the challenge? Site is blank. Is the internet on? Site is blank. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. I wanted to ask you what language you speak. Just shout it out. Shout out the language you speak. No English. Yoruba? Pidgin. Pidgin. Hausa. Very few Hausa people. Igbo. Okay. No French. Japanese. Okay, I've heard Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, Pidgin. You speak Lagos. Did somebody say Lagos? You speak Lagos. We all speak Lagos. You know Lagos, right? Lagos is stress. All right. So you can see Yoruba at the top. Yoruba, French, English, Spanish. All right. Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is we're going to talk about what data culture looks like in the real life and the trouble with data today, the makeup of a data team. What's a data team? What's the makeup of a data team? And then I'll talk about your careers because I knew there's going to be a lot of students here. What advice do I have for you? How can you earn that $3,000 a month that someone is earning? A couple of people are earning here. I've asked at least 2 people earning between $3,000 a month right now. And they're working freelance. Okay. So Yoruba is, of course, we're in Lagos, so that's understood. So culture. Culture is the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a particular people or society. Typically, culture and language are very close together, but they're not the same. So this is the idea, customs, and social behavior. Do you agree with me that customs change? Yeah? Customs change. There are certain things that we're doing in the past that we're not doing now. And the thing about culture is that when, let's say there's a war or something, maybe, I remember I read something about Ife people fighting with Ekiti people long time ago. And and then once they win, obviously their culture kind of goes with them and then completely changes the culture of the area. And that's how it has been from time immemorial. Culture changes. So then what exactly is data culture? What I want to use is I'm going to use an example of, this is just came out 2 days ago. Just 2 days ago, Walmart, there's a story about Walmart and how they use data. Who knows Walmart here? Just put your hand up. You know Walmart? You've heard of them, right? So they are the biggest employer of labor, one of the biggest employers of labor in the world. They have 2.3 million employees. 2.3 million. Right? What's the population of Ekiti State? Who is from Ekiti here? What's your population? Okay, I don't think it's up to 3.3 million, is it? So the whole of Ekiti kind of employed. 10,500 stores. So can you imagine the data that is generated here? Trillions of transactions. And they use Power BI, my favorite tool. No, not my favorite tool, my second most favorite tool. My favorite tool is Excel. I mean, I love Excel. Yes, thank you. Thank you for clapping for Excel. Please, can we clap for Excel? Yes. Excel has changed lives. And Excel has also kind of made people cry. It has done everything. But Excel is my first love. And Power BI basically grew out of Excel, SQL, and MDX. If you want to know the genesis of Power BI, one thing I'll give you, anytime you want to learn something, go learn where it came from. Who are the people that created it? What were they thinking when they created this thing? So, you want to know Power BI very well? Understand how MDX works, understand how Excel works, and understand how SQL works. Those 3 languages is what made Power BI, right? So this is Walmart. This is their director of finance, data, and analytics. He said, with Microsoft Power BI, we've established a semantic model library. Write that word down, semantic model. You will need it a lot. So some keywords, write that semantic model. Go check what that means. It's a lot to do with culture. It's a lot to do with understanding the meaning behind data. A semantic model library covering massive amounts of financial data. It gives associates easy access to the full breadth and depth of Walmart's data, all the way from executive leadership to individual analysts, and enables them to powerfully analyze the data in a very quick manner. This, to me, is the summary of data culture. This organization has implanted a data culture in the organization, and obviously they have data teams working to make this happen. 2.3 million people, each and every one of them can connect to the data they want at any time. This is huge, very huge. So this is the model that they created. Of course, we'll send you the slides and stuff about how they did it. It looks very simple. Yes, very simple. Power BI, pretty simple to implement. So building a semantic model, what they did in summary is they centralized data. They centralized everything around data should be in one place. So there's one important thing, one version of the truth. Very important. One version of the truth. To have a true data culture, you cannot have this person seeing the same data in a different way and this other person seeing it in a different way. It just cannot work. So you need to have one version of the truth. And the way to do that is to centralize it. And I'll show you one tool that you can use to make that happen. Then they democratized data. So they didn't put any padlocks on data. Before you get this data, please ask, you kind of make friends with the guy in IT, take him out for lunch, take him to a movie, you know what, and so that data I was asking, that's last week, can you? So what typically happens with our clients is, IT, and for good reason, they lock data. They lock it up, padlock it and everything, different locks, padlocks, you know those padlocks, various, about 5 or 6 different codes. Sometimes they even forget the code, they can't open it, they have to remember. So they lock it up. Now, you have to free data. You must free data. And one of the best ways to free data now in this day and age is cloud, isn't it? We're in the cloud, so it's easier to free data. And lots of people are getting more used to the cloud. I think 5 years ago, many organizations, no cloud, security, security, security. Why? They still needed to be able to lock the data because you're intellectual property, right? Who knows Elon Musk? Okay, you don't know him personally. Even knows him personally, I would like to see you. Okay, so Elon Musk, when he did the driverless car and everything, the entire data and technology that they use for that is free, is online, is open source. And so I asked him, why would you put it as open source? Why exactly would you put it as open source? He said, well, by putting open source, we don't claim to have all the knowledge about how this thing works. Yes, we've done a lot of work. But by putting open source, the entire brains of the world and whoever is interested in it can come and work on this. And then they will develop it to a level that we can't as individuals, as a company. And guess what? That means we can share that data. I don't mean share all your data. Please don't share all your data. You can lock some data privately, yes? But data needs to be freed. It needs to be democratized, especially in a corporate environment. So have a process where, yes, there's security, but I can connect to this data and get exactly what I want to do my work, right? Then, of course, optimize. That's where the teams, the data teams, they are meant to ensure that this optimization works. So they're in the background ensuring, massaging, kind of correcting, and making sure that the data is optimized in a way that instantly you're able to get insights. See this data? You should switch off data, stuff like this. This is a call from the UK. Who knows? Should I pick it up? Maybe there's data related to money. No, of course not. Sorry about that. So please mute phones. Okay, so centralize, democratize, optimize. That's what Walmart did. That's the summary of what they did. And I think this is an excellent summary of that data culture. So trouble with data. What have we discovered in our 16, 17 years at D-Brown Consulting? What have we seen with data? Because we're working with data right from day one. And what did we see? What are the things we saw? So we've summarized it into these problems. We think data is too siloed, and I've talked about that. We lock it up. We silo it. Not only locking it up, every department has their own data. Everybody's using their own data in a siloed environment. So we came from, okay, we've locked the whole data, to we're locking it department by department. Not really good. So then governance. Because of this siloed data, there's complex governance structures everywhere. We don't really know which data is where. Okay, for example, this department calls sales, sales. Another department calls it revenue. Another department calls it production, recovery. I don't know, there are all sorts of names everywhere. You need to centralize that. There's something called there's CDS, I don't know, CDM. What's CDM? I don't know the technical term. Who knows CDM? Common data model. Yes, the common data model is like it's free for everyone to use that Microsoft has developed that tries to standardize what these things are called. And that's part of you building a data culture. You need to understand the governance, know how to call it the same thing everywhere so everybody's speaking the same language. And then inconsistencies, right? This generates inconsistencies because data is everywhere and stuff is inconsistent. Then there is duplication. Because of inconsistencies and siloed data, there's duplication of data. I, as a finance person, I need to do an analysis of revenue by sales teams. Analysis of revenue by sales teams. Okay. I need revenue data. I have that in finance. I need to know the sales team. I talk to HR. HR has everybody in the organization, right? I get the data from HR as CSV, put it down, and then connect to it. But guess what? People are employed every day, isn't it? Every single day, people are being employed. People are leaving every day. So the moment you get that data from HR, it's already obsolete. Do you agree with me? So why don't you kind of work in a way that we can connect to a data source that everybody connects to? Just one. When it comes to people data, just connect to one. When it comes to revenue or financial data, connect to one data source, not siloed data sources. So because duplications happen, and then you're in a board meeting, you're presenting the numbers and you're saying, hey, this is 200 million per staff is what we made. Okay, but how many staff do you have? We have 250 staff. How many staff do you have? We have 252. HR, how many staff do you have? 248. As in, the MD is like, okay, you guys, can you go and talk to each other? Then they do what? They do reconciliation meetings, and then they do duplicated data sets and everything. How do we manage this? It's all from the beginning, that silo. And then minimum insight. So instead of spending time thinking of what's this data telling us, you're spending time reconciling. How many understand that? Anybody here that can feel what I'm saying? Yeah, that is inefficient. And that's not how to build a data culture. So these are also examples of other problems. I'll send these slides to you. The same kind of similar problems we see in a lot of our clients. What you should get to is stop your data cleaning, data reconciliation, aggregation. What you should do is just act on insights. Eliminate that process, right? So building a semantic model, you need to always understand who did what, where, and when. There are 4 W's. Who did what, where, and when. Every conversation you're having, understand that. And then understand who owns the who data, who owns the what data, who owns the where data, and who owns the when data. Who are the ones that own it? And that is the only place you should connect to. One source. There's another W there that you now need to do. That's the work you need to do. A W that's missing here. If you do these 4 W's well, the last W will make sense. Who knows that last W? Thank you. Why? So the last W is why, and that won't happen if you don't have these 4 W's sorted. Yes? Great. So this is a simple solution, and Power BI has the solution. What you need to do is create a workspace and ensure you have centralized shared data sets. Understand the who, the what, the where, and the when. And whoever is the who person probably is HR, if it's internal who. And there's another who person, which is sales or marketing, that understands your customers. Those are the 2 who's of your business, the who internal and the who external, right? So get a shared data set. Anyone wanting to connect to employee data should connect to that shared data set, wherever they are in the organization. That will mean you have endorsement. Somebody, maybe the data team or IT, is saying, we've endorsed, we put a stamp. This is the correct data set, fully endorsed. So you endorse the data set. Discoverability, make it easily accessible. If you want, you may say there are certain teams that shouldn't have access to this data. That's fine. But make it discoverable, right? Lineage. Lineage basically means where did that data come from? What's the connection between the data you have now and where it came from? That's called data lineage. Understand data lineage. And then contact. Just basically ensure you have understanding of who should have access to what. And this is your solution to building that data culture and working with the team. So who will manage this? These are tools from Microsoft Power Platform. You're going to hear a lot about it, so I don't need to talk about it, right? Now, who is going to manage this? Who are the teams that are going to manage this? A data-driven culture is one that utilizes data to enhance their team's instinct and not replace them. What I mean here is do not just rely on data and say, hey, like me, I went 2 hours driving like a complete, I don't know what the heck was in my, I don't know, maybe I was listening to a good music or something. Yes, I didn't eat pounded yam. No, because of the US, I didn't eat pounded yam. That's the reason. See, I couldn't have done that in Lagos. Imagine traffic. If you enter Third Mainland Bridge and you're like, oh crap, I'm supposed to be at the airport. How is that? You're heading to Lekki. Jeez. Anyway, so data-driven culture is one that utilizes data, but please, it shouldn't replace your critical thinking. It shouldn't replace it. Now, the data teams, what are their responsibilities? I've broken it into 3. There's the groundwork, questions, and actions. And our wonderful last speaker talked about actions and insights. That's where the actions come. So your groundwork is your collecting, your accessing, your reporting of data. Questions are those critical questions you ask, which you now do experiments on, and then you now understand your data even more. Because your data is gold. If you can mine that data and get it to talk to you, you can change the way you do things and make more money. Because at the end of the day, a company needs to make money to pay bills and increase salaries, right? So, and then action. Apply the learnings from your data across the organization. So the data team, this is what they're supposed to do. Once they understand, they do experiments on the data and stuff, and then they say, hey, we've discovered a better process. You know that process you're doing for the client that takes 5 steps? We know how to take it in 2 steps. We've done the experiments, everything works. Okay, let's implement. That's what a data team is supposed to do. So who are in this data team? Who are the members of this data team? Who is here? Okay, so we have the data scientists. Now there are many names. I've just summarized into 4. Data scientists, data engineer, data analysts, data managers. Right? So who is the data scientist? So this guy is an expert in statistics and computer science. Data science is basically the intersection between statistics and computer science. That's what data science is. You need to understand statistics. And a lot of us in organizations don't understand statistics. I was talking to a client once, and I asked them a question. I said, you have sales center reps. How do you evaluate sales center reps, your sales center reps? Because they had to do some downsizing. They didn't have up to 1,000. I'm using an example. They have 1,000 sales center representatives. How do you assess who to keep? Because unfortunately, you need to downsize. What metric should you use to measure performance? One metric, just one. Who knows? Let's say average, maybe they're expected to make like 200 calls a day, right? Okay. So average number of calls per day over the last 6 months. Is that good enough? You know it's a trick question, right? So you're obviously being quiet. Okay, I understand. But anyway, that's what people use, average calls. So say, okay, over the last 6 months, what's your average number of calls? And you expect them to do 200. Somebody did only 100, another person did 300. Okay, those high ones, you keep them. Now, unfortunately, that's the wrong metric. So if you're a data scientist, you know that the metric you're supposed to use and what customers really want is one word. If you want to know what customers want, write this word down. Every customer in the world wants consistency. That is the #1 word for customer service. Consistency. Not excellent service. Yes, excellent service is nice, but consistent service is better. If this light was consistently off throughout today, we would know that there is no light, right? And we'll do something about it. But if it's on, off, hopefully they won't switch it off because I said this. Okay, please don't. Okay, so if it's on, off, that is inconsistent. That drives us nuts. So who knows the measure, the statistical measure for consistency? Average. I'm not asking you. I have some MVPs here. I'm not asking them, no. Variance, okay. Who knows? Mean. That sounds very mean. Okay, no. Okay, so, no. It is standard deviation. So when you are measuring whether or not people are performing in your organization and you have data, it's supposed to use standard deviation. Now, unfortunately, the way they taught me in school was like this. A standard deviation, you calculate the mean variance of the mean variance, calculation, sum variance, and then you do the mean, and then you do the variance, you do the square root, and then you do this, and then you do the square root. That's the wrongest way. All you should say is standard deviation is a deviation from a standard. That's all. How has this person consistently deviated from the standard? That's all. That's what standard deviation is. And it's a wonderful measure that gives you one number. And so your standard deviation, okay, this 200 employees, right? Your standard deviation is 20. What does that mean? That means plus or minus 20. That's the range. 200 is our standard. You're between 180 and, thank you. And the acceptable standard deviation in an organization is 10, plus or minus 10. That's how you should do it. But it's the data scientist that kind of knows that, isn't it? That's what the data scientist's job is, to understand statistics and then use that with data and computer science to understand the data of the organization well. So a lot of us think, oh, it's coding. Yes, that's good, but you have to understand statistics and computer science. That's an excellent data scientist. All right. So then the next person in the team is data engineer. The data engineer, what they do is they build data sets. That data set I was talking about, they build data models, they do the DAX and everything. If you're a DevOps guy, this is the back-end guy. This is the back-end engineer. If you're a DevOps person, this is the back-end engineer. Data engineer, right? Building those structures. Then you have the data analyst. I like this guy because I think I have two hats. But data analyst is the one that does the data visualization, data storytelling, understanding reporting analytics. When he's basically answering business questions from people, he becomes known as the business analyst. That's the difference between a data analyst and a business analyst. The business analyst is like a data analyst that answers business questions. So there's so many names out there. And then you have the manager, the data manager. So this is basically a project manager. Why are you laughing at this old lady? This is the person that kind of puts everybody together, ensures that everyone's working as a team and makes sure everything works pretty well. So that's that. I had a question for you, but I'm going to rush through this. What dominant role are you playing right now? It's just one person. Data scientist, yes. This scientist is very, very kind of cool. Everybody loves data science. Yeah? But please, you need a lot of statistics. Yeah? So typically we have loads of data analysts. That's what companies employ, a lot of data analysts. But when you want to create a data team, the key thing there is you need these roles. And in Nigeria, I'm sure we play not one role. I don't think I've seen anyone that just plays one role. Right? We are multitaskers. And that's because we don't have huge organizations. Abroad, when you have a very huge organization, people play individual roles and work in a team. So my next question for you was, how many roles do you play? I know you do more than 2, so I'll leave that out. Now, this is basically what, I'm going back to Walmart as I end. This is what Walmart did. This is kind of a summary of what they did to centralize, to build a data culture and data team within the organization. This is a summary of what they did, speed of insight, no wasted time, no duplicated efforts, and the rest, right? So I have this up for questions, and I will leave this there, and then see if you have any questions for me. You answer that, but I have a gift for you, so I'm going to go to the gift first. All these slides are about jobs, the current jobs out there. It's mostly data jobs. That's what everybody wants in the world. So you don't need to jackpot physically. Jackpot virtually, please. Stay here, right? So, resources from Microsoft. Quickly scan this. There's a particular page on the Microsoft has so much documentation. This one basically tells you about how to collaborate, share, and integrate data across multiple products. We'll make sure you get all these slides, all right? So, but you can scan that. But the big one I want you to scan is this. Some people here are going to win ₦1 million worth of training. 1 million. D Brown Consulting, can you give it up to our guys, D Brown Consulting team? They're there. Yeah. So, They've put together a boot camp. We do this every year, mostly every year. So you're going to basically be a member of this boot camp where we're going to drill you to become either a data analyst or a financial modeler. You kind of choose depending on what you want. As a millionaire, you're not going to pay anything. And then we're going to work with our partners to ensure that you get interviews for jobs. How many people want a job here? So make sure you scan this later. I'll put this up. I'm going to tweet this. I'll tweet this. Time up. I know. I'll tweet it, so I'm at D Brown Analyst, so you can always get the link there later, okay? Because I know I have to jump off. And so that is that. These are questions coming up. I'll see which one goes to the top. But that is me for today. I hope you've enjoyed my session. And if you need to speak with me later, this was stuff on Nigeria, so this is me. All right? Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. David B. It's always a pleasure to have you. And on behalf of DataFest Africa 2022 planning team and everybody here, we want to present you this. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. Camera. We'll take another. All right, thanks everybody.
Okay, does anybody have, we can take one question for him. Okay. Okay. Okay, they are putting some questions.
So data, you can vote for the question. Typically, you can all type. I'll leave that up. You can all type. I'll answer those questions online if you keep on asking the questions throughout the conference, right? So the one at the top, if you just put, I'll just answer the one at the top. Or anyone that has a question, you can just ask. Okay, question. Right. Okay, so the training, you need to apply. Once you apply, there's a form. The link will take you to a web page. You fill it out. We're going to go through the whole thing, and then we'll choose, I think, 200 or 300 people that we're going to train or something, or 500 people. I'm not sure how many, the team. So you just apply, and then you're going to do a test. So there's going to be a test, and based on the test, we're going to pick the people, right? So best of luck. You can share it to anybody and everybody, but they must be in Nigeria. If you're not physically in Nigeria, you won't qualify.
Okay.
All right. So
my question.
Okay.
My question is on influencing the data culture in an organization. So I recently worked with a team. They are kind of scattered everywhere. There's the IT team, then there are other teams. Now the IT team is also divided further into several teams. So there's the analysis team, also the analysis system. Now, we want to work. We have to retrieve data from several places. And at the time when we are working, data has changed. So I tried to kind of find a way to do it, but we're like company policy and all that. How do you influence data culture in that kind of situation?
Excellent question. So if you remember that this is siloed, can you remember the top siloed? So this is siloed data. There's the mentality of locking. Unfortunately, a lot of organizations still have that locking mentality. So what I would like you to do is, the thing about you changing things is, do you have influence? Where are you? You probably are a junior person there. You don't have influence to the top, but you can make that influence happen. There are certain things you can do. The case studies. Go to Microsoft sites. Look for case studies around your industry. You know, they do these short videos. Find a way. I don't know if do you have open places where you can talk to the CEO. Can you talk to the CEO at any time? Okay, no. You see, so that's another bottleneck. But you need to find an influencer. Find an influencer in your organization. There will be somebody that can influence the CEO. Have a discussion. Show them what people are doing. Now, what I showed you about Walmart, 2.3 million people. A company with 10 people can still do exactly what they did It doesn't cost anything. It's not expensive anymore, right? So you need first find an influencer. So maybe a senior manager, a manager and stuff you can talk to, understand, to buy your idea. Then see how you can ship that to the CEO. Because if it doesn't change from the top, there's nothing I'll tell you that will happen. It won't change, right? And so that locking culture, unfortunately, is there. It gradually needs to kind of stop. So maybe you can find a project that doesn't need locked data. Maybe it's a project that doesn't need data to be locked. And then just let them see how wonderfully that project just works and everything updates. Maybe you survey clients or something, and every time you're surveying clients, the data is entering and updating. And make sure you present that. They're like, how does this work? Can't we have our reports like this? Aha. When a senior person says that, that's your entry room. Yes, sir, I have a question. Don't be afraid to ask questions. When you're in meeting, just put your hand up and ask questions directly. Don't be scared. Ask. Right? It doesn't matter who the person is. Just ask. All right. Thanks.
Wow. That was a great one. Yeah, so I'm feeling excited right now, and I want to give something to someone. Yeah. So if you want to share with us what you've gotten from Mr. David Brown's section, just wave. Just wave. You want to come up here and share what you've gotten so far? Wow. Yeah.
We will take one person. And you people are voting for Emiloko. Because people are trying to rig it. All of them are just pointing her. Okay. Women. And me too, I'm a woman. You want to challenge me?
I'm sorry.
You don't have to come all the way.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ukachi Agnes. Yeah, you can just call me Kachi. It's very catchy. You won't forget it. Okay, so what I really learned, let's calm down. The one thing I took away from Mr. David's session was like consistency, that everybody wants something that is consistent. From the whole analysis using the light bulb, we better have it consistently on or consistently off so that we'll know whether I'm moving left or I'm moving right. If something is consistent, we can easily make decisions rather than when it's fluctuating. That's like the most important thing that I got out of it. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Awesome one. Thank you very much, Ukachi. Yeah, so you just want a MiFi now. So to give another MiFi, we are going to do something right now. And what's that? I can see all is getting filled up. So I want you to take a selfie with someone here. Then tweet about what you've learned. Post the picture. Tag DataFest Africa. You can tag either me or Yinka on Twitter. And one random person is walking away with something. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, my handle. That's true. Who knows my handle, yeah? Okay. It's a personal gift. I'll give the person a personal gift. Oh, okay. Okay, so my handle is the Data Engineering Duke on Twitter. Yeah, and Yinka's handle
is at Yinka, okay.
Oh, okay.
Together, no spaces, no, just at Yinka, okay.
Exactly.
You will say it's Oriaku of the soft life. That's the name.
The life has to be soft. So now, this next section here, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like I can connect so much with this next section because it's coming from a domain perspective. And being a data engineer, it's not just about building pipelines, moving data from one place to another. You also need to have this business acumen, like they say. You also need to understand the domain. You also need to understand this industry that you're coming from. So, with great joy in my heart, I would be inviting Najib Sulaiman to come talk to us on domain knowledge, a catalyst to data career advancement. Yeah. You guys should clap now. Everybody wants to be a data engineer these days. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. So, before I hand over to Najib, let me tell you guys this. So, when I started out in data science about a few years back, then you could not put data engineer on your LinkedIn, but you can't. So right now, if you see someone who is a data engineer, like, it's a lot of respect. Why? Because we are in high demand. We know now, we are the hot cakes here. So please, give us that respect. By the way, I leave you guys with Najib.
All right, thank you very much, Demi, for the hype and for the summary. You have already summarized the topic. Yeah. Knowing how to derive insights is not as important as knowing what insight to derive. And the pursuit of pure technical skill should not be the only focus of any data professional. How about defining the business objectives? Communicating effectively with the decision makers, or even understanding how the data is collected. These questions and many others have been hidden away from many learning sources available on the internet, but are very, very important when working in the real world, in any organization. And why technical skills are common among data professionals, what really sets you apart as a data professional is domain knowledge, which is the ability to prove or demonstrate that you understand the particular industry inside out, that you talk the language, and are even able to communicate and help business drive insights and achieve their targets. It is therefore very important to know that analytical skills are not alone. Analytical skills are not enough. And inability to connect analytical skills with a domain can be fatal. Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be standing in front of you this morning. My time is limited, and my mission here is simple. It's just to emphasize on the importance of domain knowledge. Please, I need the slide control. All right, go back. I need to introduce myself. Introduction. All right. Yes. Let me do my personal introduction. So my position is actually brief. I mean, I'm not the brand yet. So I'm a data engineer at FinTrack Software company. I'm a YouTuber at Najib Zahari, where I share my experience towards career advancements. I'm a digital ambassador at African Development Bank, and I'm an Arsenal fan. It's a good time to be proud of to be an Arsenal fan. We are topping the league. All right, let's go. So what is domain knowledge? It's very simple and direct. In fact, from this, you can really guess. Or there might be some people that are hearing for the first time. Maybe you're an enthusiast. You're just getting in. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, I simply define this, no ambiguity, as the knowledge and understanding of a particular field. It simply means you having a knowledge of a particular industry. We have many industries. We have many fields. Finance, healthcare, sports, agriculture, education. So any domain at all that you have knowledge about, it means you have the knowledge of that domain. It means, for example, you have knowledge of finance industry, you have finance domain knowledge. Now, you are a data professional, a data scientist, a data analyst, or a data engineer. So why do you need domain knowledge? Let's go to the next slide, please. Too fast. The next slide after, go back, please. Yeah, why is domain knowledge important? So, why do you need domain knowledge as a data analyst, or a data scientist, or any data professional you are in? Why do you need domain knowledge? Wait, I will explain. Can I go to the next slide? Now, imagine the following. You are a data scientist. You thrive on math and statistics. You are confident using Python and SQL. You have some experience working with data cleaning and visualization, plus you are no stranger to machine learning and deep learning, which in your opinion makes you the perfect candidate for any high-paying data job available. Well, that may not be all. Let's go. Go back. Yeah. So you go to an interview, and you are boasting about your range of skills to the interviewer, telling the interviewer you know 19 programming languages, and you want to use them all. Telling the interviewer about how you can apply the latest MFCC algorithm. Well, judging by the impression of the interviewer, you got the job, right? But that's not it. Let's go to the next slide. Now, the interviewer, in reality, will be thinking, awesome, but I don't have a job for another ordinary data scientist. I need someone who understands that data is business, who can drive insights and communicate insights effectively to management, who can help us solve business problems and help us achieve productivity and growth. Let's go to the next slide. And this summarizes why you need domain knowledge. And that's my first point on the importance of domain knowledge. Why is it important? Data is business. It's very important to understand that analytics is not enough. While it's good, it's the how, which you are started with. Knowing how to derive insight is not as important as knowing what insight to derive. What if you can use 19 programming languages and you don't even know where to go to? You don't even know what insight to derive. That makes you can judge yourself if that's the case. Thank you. All right. All right. The next point is technical skill is common. Domain knowledge is not. You can do a quick survey here. How many people can use SQL here? You can use SQL, can just signify. Wow. Almost everybody uses SQL. Now, if you have a knowledge of, let's say, sports domain, sport analytics, can you raise up your hand, please? Can you see? Can you just judge using this survey yourself? That's to tell you that to differentiate yourself, to set yourself apart, you need to go beyond the analytical skills. You need to be able to build expertise in a particular domain and connect your analytical skills to that domain for you to be unique. Now, derivation of domain-specific features. If you are just a data scientist and you don't have the knowledge of the business you're operating, the highest you'll be able to do is top 10 customers, top 10 sales, top 10 products. That's it. You won't be able to derive domain-specific features. Let's say, for example, you want in the finance domain, and that will take me to my next point. You work in the finance domain, and someone just walk up to you, or maybe your manager, or someone from the management team, just say, fine, this is our new data scientist. We've heard about you. You are very bright. But can you please give us a statement that shows our financial position? Or can you give us, can you help us generate a statement that gives us our profit or loss using our data that is available in our organization? Then you are lost. What is pure loss, profit and loss? What is the balance sheet? You don't know. It's as simple as that. Because you don't have the domain knowledge, you can't even understanding of user needs and goals. You can't even communicate. You can't understand what they need. Then how do you want to solve their problem? How do you want to help the business to achieve set goals? Another importance of domain knowledge is creation of solutions that users will actually use. Earlier, Dr. Genia, during the keynote session, also emphasized on the importance of building a solution that users will eventually use. Because the truth is, large proportion of solutions that maybe data professional builds end up in the dustbin. Nobody's using it because it's not communicating value. Okay, you've come up with analysis, you spent months on this analysis, you're able to clean the data, use whatever model, but at the end of the day, it's not communicating value. It ends up in the dustbin because you are not able to connect all your range of skills to that domain and be able to understand what they need and provide solution. And that's why domain knowledge is very important. And if you look around you, see, technology doesn't any technology at all, or let me just say technology generally, do not just exist. They exist to solve particular problems. They exist to solve problems. That's just the simple definition of technology, to solve problems. So there are applications to domain, which is why you also need to know a particular domain and apply your technology, or whatever skill you have, analytical skill you have to that domain. Look at fintech. If you hear fintech, edutech, agritech, that's to tell you that tech alone is not enough. You have to associate that tech to something. Is it fintech? Is it edutech? Is it agritech? Is it sport analytics? You understand? So, which is why, as a data professional, you need to know why domain knowledge is important. Now, how do I build domain knowledge? Okay, fine. Najib has enlightened us, has talked about why domain knowledge is important. Can you hear me? Why domain knowledge is important. So how do I build domain knowledge? That's the question now. Now, how to build domain knowledge? The first thing here is get interested in the domain. The way when you are starting out as a data professional, whether you're an analyst, engineer, data engineer, or whatever profession you are in, you develop interest in that profession before you eventually become an experienced person in that profession. So there are many fields within tech alone. Software engineering, even within software engineering, you can still break software engineering into many subsections. So as you when you are starting out, you are interested in a domain, in a particular tech field. That same way, you need to get interested in the domain. If you are starting out, you need to start thinking about your passion. What interests you? Are you interested about solving problems in the finance industry? Are you interested in solving problems about sports analysis? If you are a sports person, you love football, that can be your domain. So you need to get interested. So it's that interest, that passion that will prompt you to learn domain focused course, that will help you that will increase your curiosity and want to learn more about that domain. So while you are taking course, 0 to Euro for Power BI, 0 to Euro for data analysis, also do 0 to Euro for financial accounting. If you are in finance domain, it's very important. It will help you a lot while you're carrying out your day-to-day activities as a data professional. Take internships. So to get reward to get reward experience, internships are very important. To be able to deal with real case scenario. I can tell you, if you spend 1 year on YouTube and someone spends just 1 week working in an organization, that person can turn out to be more valuable than you because that person already has the reward experience. So take internship. Internship is not just for beginners. As a professional, if you want to switch to another domain, you can take internship with that domain so that you transition softly into that domain. Now, asking domain-specific questions. So you just have to fuel your curiosity. Ask questions. By asking questions, you get to know more. So ask questions about the domain. Ask from users, the end users using the solution you want to provide. Ask them, so what is financial position? What is profit or loss? They will explain to you. From there, gradually, you build your domain knowledge. Stick to a domain for a long time. Now, this is very important. It's not about the salary alone. Salary is very important, I know. David Brown mentioned about the $3,000. It's very important, I understand. But you also need to be strategic about your move as a data professional. You are in the finance domain today. Next 1 month, you get another offer in somewhere else. Sport analysis, you jump into it. The next month, you get another job in edutech, you jump into it. You are not able to gather enough domain knowledge because it takes time to actually build domain knowledge. The way it takes time for you to be an experienced data professional, it also takes time to build domain knowledge. So just take your time while considering the salary. Also consider the strategic move, the benefits of transitioning. So you need to spend enough time in a particular domain to actually gather enough domain knowledge. And that is how to build domain knowledge. There are many more, but these are just a few of them. In summary, the good thing is that domain knowledge can be picked up anytime, even while on the job. And it is not much of a difficult thing either, but getting it will be utter responsibility. That's just the truth. No other words. Therefore, data professionals are strongly advised to strengthen their domain knowledge as they develop their technical skills in order to be more valuable. To set yourself apart again, you have to take domain knowledge serious. Remember, knowing how to derive insights is not as important as knowing what insight to derive. Thank you very much to the organizers of this event. Thank you to the sponsors. I'm glad. It's a privilege to be here today. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that lightning session. And for me, I really like how everybody is talking about domain knowledge because it's something that has been grossly neglected and is just as important as your technical skills. We've been doing a lot of serious things, and I hope we're not getting information overloaded. Are we getting overloaded? Yes. No. Okay. As we all know, just like Najib was saying, we have lots of organizations who have sponsored this event and who have helped us to put together this wonderful event that we're in. And so for the next few minutes, we'll take a quick commercial break and we would hear from one of our sponsors, which is DBT Labs.
Yes, so while we are doing that, the 3 handles to target are at DataFest Africa. Use the hashtag DFA 2022, hashtag DataFest Africa 2022. Keep posting, keep tweeting, pictures. I mean, we have a lot of things to give out.
I'm already seeing some tweets. Yeah. I'm retweeting them, and
so we are all about the engagement. We are all about the data, actually. Yes. So the more engagements we get from your tweets, you don't know, I can just call you up here and just say, okay, take a 1 million naira. Just go and flex. Oh, okay. Some people are doubting. Yeah. Okay.
So let's hear from
Yes,
DBT
so
Labs.
DataFest Africa at the Data Engineering Duke. That's my handle. At Yinka Oke. That's our handle. So yes, keep tweeting, take pictures, post, and yeah, let's hear from DBT Labs.
Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Cohen.
Okay, while we're waiting, I know I ordered 2 my files already. Oh, okay, they're ready.
Core, and speaking to you for today from my home in Marseille. Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Cohen, or Jericho. I'm a product manager at DBT Labs, focusing on DBT Core, and speaking to you for today from my home in Marseille, France. However you're doing your analytics or data work today, whether you're using DBT already or hopefully soon to start, I'm so excited to be speaking with you. One of the initial motivations for building DBT 6 years ago was that in our work as analytics consultants, we saw different organizations running into the same problems over and over again. Understanding how people are engaging with their websites, their apps,
Okay, while we're waiting for that to be sorted, let me just give out the my files already ordered. Okay.
Don't worry, I know what you look like when you come out. So you can't claim somebody's name. Is Damilola Olopade here? Otilo. Wow. So, but we have Kachi Agnes. I will look for Damilola later. Kachi Agnes. Okay, Kachi Agnes is here. Damilola.
Yeah.
Is she?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just introduce yourself. What's the word you want to say?
Okay, I'm Oluwadamila Olopade again. Thank you so much for this gift. I am so grateful. This will speed up my journey. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ukachi Agnes.
Kachi Agnes.
Okay.
Oh, hello everybody. Good morning.
Now, rejoice
My
with
name
them that
is-
rejoice or something.
My name is Okachi Agnes Eze Umbe, and I'm very grateful for this to the organizers. Thank you. Oh, I'm a data analyst. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so while we are sorting out the video, I think we are going to go to the next section. Yeah. Yeah, this next section, I would say it's vitally important for every one of us here because you can't underestimate it. So, the next section is a panel section, and we are going to be talking about data industry opportunities. I mean, for someone like me, someone will ask me, oh, Timmy, how did you do it? That, oh, so fast you are going up there. Yeah, so just a brief intro. I stumbled upon LinkedIn as far back as my 100 level in university. So my LinkedIn already complete from far back. So I'm excited about this section. Why? Because the panelists are not just ordinary people. They are people that have been in the system, in the business for a very long time. And so, without further ado, I'll be inviting them. Yeah, so the first person I'll be inviting would be Roland Ogbonda. He's the talent acquisition lead at Airtel Africa Digital Labs. Yeah, and yeah, so let's meet Roland. Roland is an HR leader who has spent more than 10 years of his career leading innovation in human resources. He has spent the past decade as a headhunter and helping organizations hire the best talent globally. He is interested in solving challenges across Africa in leading sectors. At Airtel, Roland currently leads talent acquisition for one of Africa's finest digital innovation labs. Yeah, please, a round of applause, please. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so the next person I'll be inviting here is also another data person, and that will be Taiwo Ajayi. So Mr. Taiwo is the head of growth at Propel. Before joining Propel, he worked as a product manager for Centric Incorporation, an AI and machine learning startup based in New York City, and CoreSite Research Lab as the head of data products, championing retail data as a product. He has several years of consulting under his belt, where he transformed talent acquisition, management strategy for many organizations. He is currently an MBA candidate at Lagos Business School and holds a bachelor's degree in Management Information System from Covenant University. He loves poetry and has published a poem collection, God Must Be a Poet. Awesome. Yes.
Consistency. Like if you start clapping, you cannot stop clapping. I feel like I'm going to have to like give an award for like the most consistent clapper.
Yeah, I think we'll give it a my five for that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the third panelist is one of our own. Yeah, and he's Ayodele Oluleye. So Ayodele is a certified data professional with a rich cross-functional background that spans across strategy, product management, automation, data management, and analytics. He currently leads a cross-functional team of data professionals that spearheads data management and analytics initiative across ARM group of companies. He started his data journey late 2016. And his experience spans across data science, data analysis, data engineering, and data governance. He is passionate about building awareness about the various data disciplines and empowering data professionals with skills. Outside of work, he is passionate about building the African data community by writing and speaking regularly. He is also part of the core DataFest Africa organizing team. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So right now, we're about to talk about data industry opportunities. So this is how the flow is going to be like. I'll be asking some major questions here. And if time permits us, we'll also take questions from the audience as regards getting better opportunities within data space, getting that your preferred role, earning in dollars, earning Benjamins in whatever currency you're interested in. So to start with, I'm going to be starting with Mr. Roland. Being one of the core HR persons, yeah. And my first question for him would be, what are the critical skills, soft, technical, hard, that are required to land data jobs currently? Yeah, so I am going to redirect that question in such a way that what are the core skills needed to land data jobs locally and internationally? Because I mean, these guys here, they don't just want Naira anymore. People are tired. We want Benjamins, right? $1, right? Yeah.
Hi guys, can you hear me? So my name is Roland. I bring you greetings from Airtel Africa. Thank you guys for having me. First question, I'm going to ask, why don't you have more people here? You guys didn't drag your friends. You didn't tell them about the fact that this is a fantastic opportunity for them to learn about data opportunities.
Okay.
You should drag more of your friends. We need to have this hall full. You know, because when people like us are coming from industry, we want to see more people so that we're not going to struggle when we have to fill data roles. But yes, I think the most important skill that you need to have is curiosity. The guy who talked about domain knowledge had talked about curiosity. It's imperative. It's actually important for you to be curious enough to understand that this is the next phase of, civilization. Data is oil. Data is everything. Data is life. I mean, this is one of the things that we say at Airtel. Data is life. So curiosity is everything. And I believe that everyone here is curious enough to have come here to first understand that there are opportunities here for you, but then there are opportunities here for you to actually now grow your career, whether through the streams that the DB guy had talked about. So very important, be curious. But you need communication skills too, because you're going to fit into an organization that has a bunch of other people, so you need to be able to communicate. So I'm going to stop at that for just, for soft skills. But core skills, I mean, somebody talked about SQL, and everyone here has SQL skills. Fantastic. But then, I know that my Indian team would ask you on a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you use SQL? It's not how frequently. They would ask, how well do you use SQL? So I'd like to hear that you are at a 3.5 or at a 4. I mean, don't be at a 5. You didn't write the language, But I'd like to hear that you're at a 3.5 or a 4. And that's where consistency comes in. That you're consistently, putting in the work, putting in the hours of learning, and then putting in the hours of actually doing. So that's where, that's one of the most important tools I think everyone in this particular hall is using or should be using. Well, you can also delve into stuff like R and Python. I mean, typically I want people who, I run a shop that, my shop is pretty much called like a Swiss Army knife. I like people that can do many things. So if you bring a Python skill, I'm thinking, well, this guy can fit into data, can do some backend for me. I mean, I'm predominantly a data shop, a Java shop, but I have Python people, I have a bunch of other engineering skills in my shop. So I want to be able to say, okay, well, you have Python, that's perfect. You have R, that's also very good. I think we can stop here for now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Roland. Like, that was spot on. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have so many students here, and okay, let's assume I'm not with Microsoft. This next question is with Mr. Taiwo, is for Mr. Taiwo. Yeah, if I am a student, can you tell me more about Propel? What do they do at Propel? What's the data team like? And if I were to be a student, how can I position myself to get into Propel? And if I am a fresh graduate, yes, I'm trying to break into the data space. How can I secure my next entry-level data role with Propel?
All right, great stuff. Happy to be here. And I want to start this way. Everything about data is context, right? So whether you're in data analysis or visualization, which is like what I consume and do a lot, it's just about context. So for example, when he started, he brought out a context. He said, why are there fewer people here today, right? And that's what data is about. So at Propel, what we are trying to do is different and unique, right? We're a tech startup, of course, based out of Europe, but founded by Africans, Nigerians to be exact. And what we do is hire top tech talent from Africa for Euro-based companies, right? So we do that for you, just creating the context for you. And that's why I spoke about context first. So the first thing for us to understand is, we talk about that the world is a digital village, meaning that we're all the same. So he's here, he works at Microsoft. A few years ago, it was very difficult. You had to leave Nigeria to work at Microsoft. But now there are tons of Nigerians who live in Nigeria, work for Microsoft, and work for all of these international companies. But one thing he can say definitely, which we try to do at Propel, is creating a context. So number one, helping the Euro-based company understand the context of talent in Africa, and also for talent, helping you understand the context in Europe, right? So that's a way to create a merge for that to work. How we are doing it is very unique, and that's why we are here at DataFest. We understand one thing, that talents get better with learning. And when people learn together, like their skills and all of the things they learn stick together and they are at standard, right? So you want people to have skills at the right standard. And the only way this can happen is within classrooms when people come together as peers. So at Propel, what we are doing is working with communities, and that's why we are working with DataFest. What we are doing is we understand that communities have the biggest values. They just want to develop people. Communities like this, right? So what we are doing is making these communities a pipeline for all of the jobs that are listed in Europe that we have. We know that, for example, if we come to DataFest and say, we want to recruit 10 DevOps people for Amazon, it's easier for us to source from you guys and move that through. Because what we'll do is, throughout the recruitment process, provide the context of the job you're applying for, and also for the people we recruit for, we also give them a context of who you are. So we help you work on your profiling, how to report yourself, how to do your work, right? That's what we do. So today, if you want to join us, I mean, DataFest already has a page. So all you need to do is go to propel.community, search for DataFest, join DataFest. So if you join the community called DataFest on propel.community, you'll find all the data-related jobs pushed to you with all the information that you need. And then from that point, we'll start working with you, giving you all the information and all you need. And back to the second part of the question you asked. I mean, if you're a student here today, the opportunities are so many, right? There are so many. I can say, for example, in the last 3 months, we've recruited over 15 product data analysts. That's something that's pretty new. And that is interesting because I started my product management journey a few years ago as a product manager and grew to become a product data person, right? And it's so beautiful because the tools for product data are actually the same tools you use for analysis. There are just a few of them that are a little different. So I'm a Pendo champion, so I'll say, oh, learn Pendo. But mixed panel is what you use for everything else. So not just product, right? Everything you are doing on product is most likely everything you would do on any other thing as a data analytics, as a data analyst, right? Working with analytics. So it's the same thing. So if you pick up all of these skills, so I'm saying today that if you've never thought about that as a career path, that's something you should try. So everyone is a data analyst. Everyone is a Tableau expert. So you need to keep finding like new skills, different level points to pick up. But for me, I mean, just with the work we've done, I see like the growth happening with the product, the growth happening for product data analyst roles, right? There's an increase in it. We're beginning to look at more data. Guess what? Tons of companies today are becoming product-led. And what that means is that you want to be able to look at the data and make decisions that support improvements in the future, understand the behavior of your users, and be able to improve the product, right? And be able to push things from there. So from me to you this morning, all I'm saying to you is, of course, join the Propel community. But what's super important is every day, what we'll be doing for you and with you is helping you understand the context of work, especially in terms of getting opportunities outside of the shores of Nigeria and just in other African countries. That's what we can do for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Taiwo. Yeah, so where I go from that is, number 1, context. Number 2, action. So right now, if you're with your mobile device, just go on to Propel and join the DataFest community to get first-hand information about data-related jobs. Like, that's the summary. Yeah, okay. So now that we already know the critical skills needed to land data jobs internationally and locally, and we also know how to get into a company like Propel, my next question will be for Ayodele, and yeah, looks like a straightforward answer to me, but okay. What data roles are the most demanded?
Okay.
What data roles?
Thank you very much. So I'd say that, okay, so let me take you back just a few years. So I'd say somewhere between 2012 and 2018, 2019, there was this data science buzz. You know, everything was about data science. Everybody was, you know, all about data science. Let's build machine learning models. Let's predict stuff. Let's use Python. Let's use R. And there was just that buzz, even in terms of recruitment and all. Every organization wanted to recruit a data scientist, right? But I would say post 2019, that has kind of like declined, and that's because the role data scientist is very vague, right? So a lot of times you have organizations saying they want a data scientist, but they are saying the data scientist should be able to do the role of a data engineer, or should be able to do the things that a data analyst should be able to do. So it was very vague, right? And so that bubble kind of like burst. And so what we're seeing these days is that, yes, you still have the data science trend, but you have the data analyst roles also, coming up. You also have the data engineering role. In fact, the data engineering role is a very hot role right now, both locally and internationally. And let me start with data engineering. So with data engineering, the reason why it's hot right now is very simple. Before you can do anything around data science or around data analysis, before you start to use Excel, Power BI, Tableau, before you start to use Python R, before you start to build those fancy machine learning models, you need to be able to take the data from somewhere and put it, in a place where it's accessible, right? So, and that's exactly what the data engineer does. So you have a business where data is flowing through that business, 24/7. You have various operational systems. You have their core operational systems, which could be like the ERPs. You have their finance systems, you have their HR systems, you have the websites, you have the marketing systems, and a host of others. Now you need someone to go into those systems, pick the data out, and then put in a central place that your data analyst and your data scientist can then start to do their work. Right? So a lot of organizations are realizing that the data engineering role is very important, because if we can't even get the data out of our core systems, there's really nothing we can do with the data. Right, so, and that's why the data engineering role has become more important and has, very top priority right now to a lot of organizations, locally, internationally. All you have to do is just do a LinkedIn search, and you realize that, the data engineering roles these days are even surpassing the data science roles, interestingly. Now, to the second part, data analysis, or the data analyst role. Why that has also become important is because, especially in our local context, a lot of organizations are still at the early stages. Like I said in the welcome address, this data explosion or this data revolution in Nigeria and in Africa technically started about 4 or 5 years ago, sometime in 2015, 2016. And so what that means is that a lot of organizations, or most organizations, are still at the very early stages. And usually the way this thing works is there's that maturity curve where, yes, you get the data from various systems, put in a central place. That's the first step. The second step is really what the data analyst does. Understanding trends in the business. So simple questions like, what was the revenue in my business as at yesterday or as at 6 months ago? Just understanding the trends, right? Understanding why certain things have happened. Oh, why has my revenue declined over the last 2 months? Right? So usually you want to start from that level. And that's exactly what the data analyst does in Power BI, in Excel, and in all those other tools. It's after you've done that, or while you're then doing that, that it then makes sense to start to predict stuff. And that's where the data scientist then, comes in. And so what we're realizing is a lot of organizations are now recalibrating, for the lack of a better word. So where before, all they were trying to do was just, rush for data scientists. And what we're now seeing is that, a lot of organizations are now requesting for data engineers. A lot of organizations are going back to the drawing board to say, you know what, let me get a data analyst who can even tell me and give me insights into trends and patterns that have even happened in my business, right? And then they're also saying, okay, while I'm doing this, I can then also get a data scientist. So just to answer the question very simply, I'll say 3 roles have the buzz right now: data engineer, the data analyst, the data scientist. One more role that is starting to emerge is the data governance role. And that's very important because it's something that, David Brown talked about in his presentation. What a lot of organizations do today is firefighting, because sometimes the data is not even readily accessible. even when that data is readily accessible, it is in such a mess that it's very difficult for anybody to work with it. And so to resolve that, you need something called, data governance and data management. I won't go into the definitions because of time. And so what we're having today is we're having that role emerge, because it's a critical role and it's a foundational role for ensuring that every other person can do their work. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hayo. Yeah. So, Mr. Roland, this question is for you. Yeah. How many years of experience is required to take advantage of the local market and the global market in terms of opportunities?
I think that's a very interesting question because, he just mentioned that the industry is not even more than 6-7 years old. So ideally, I would say I prefer an approach where you actually can solve problems. So if you have 1 year experience, and because you've been consistent and incredibly good at your craft, I'll give you an opportunity to come and tell me what you've done in that 1 year and what you can do very well. Because we're not necessarily hiring because you have all these skills, we hire for potential. But realistically, if I compare my data team to my engineering team, I have people who, on the average, the engineers are 5, 6, 7 years, in terms of experience. But data guys are pretty much like 2, 3, 4. So realistically, so I'm also hiring the 5 to 10% of the market. I'm not looking for 2%. I'm not Amazon, but I can pretty much look for the guys who are 5 to 10% in terms of how good they are. So 2 to 4 years will be the sweet spot. So if you're 3 years on the job and you know your stuff, you can pretty much hack it on my team.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Roland. So the major point there is it's about, can you solve problems? Yeah, it's not really about the number of years of experience you're having. What value are you bringing to the team, in other words? Okay, so to my next question. Yeah, you've told us how to join Propel, Mr. Taiwo. Yeah. So, do you think is an online presence necessary to land global and local opportunities in the data space? And do you think me having an online presence whereby, if I tweet something in data now, the figures are going up, then you see me in front of you in Propel saying, "Dear Mr. Taiwo, I want to be data engineer on your team."
Well, that's interesting. Because in our world today, if you're not online, you're almost non-existent, right? So the first thing that we must all know, all of us here are online. That's why we're even here today in the first place. Being online is, I think that's an old conversation. It's now more about what you are putting out online, which is about more in terms of your profiling. Right, so for you to land a data job or any job out of this country, you have to be online. That's the only way they can find you. Unless you want to find those jobs in your dream, right, and wake up to reality. So the first thing I would say is, just to add more part to the question, is not just about being online, it's more about your profiling. And that's why I spoke about context, right? And that's why, in this meeting, we talk about the local context and the international context. But I want to even say something, I want to even challenge that. I want to say that the context is now one. What that means is, anybody from anywhere in the world will look at a profile and decide if this person is a good candidate or not, on how the profile has been written, right? So I can say this to you, and this is how I probably challenged myself as an individual over the years. When I was in university, I asked myself a very big question. What makes me different from a student in Harvard or the top universities in the world? What is it? Nothing. You know why? The resources are the same. The internet is there for both of us to use. And what that means is I want to pitch myself against any top candidates around the world for my role. So for me, what I'm saying today is, for candidates, and I'm talking to people looking for jobs, all these guys are recruiters, so there's how they look at things. I want you to pitch yourself against the top candidates anywhere in the world, right? So that's the first thing, which comes to profiling. So how you write your profile is very, very important. Like, what do you say? What does it mean? and stuff. So there are certain verbosity we do in Nigeria, right? And I'm going to talk about that today. So you don't need to do 5 things or 6 things. So I was cracking a joke with my friend, right? I see a lot of people, and we're just cracking this joke, that there are people who have so many talents but struggle to be successful. You know why? Because they are not focused at one thing, right? And it's funny that our society, you go to people's LinkedIn, you see data manager, data influencer, data something. I mean, they look cool, but you know what the problem is? It doesn't give you a clear focus. And that's why I want to challenge you guys. If there's any particular role you're interested in, the first thing you should do is don't act like someone who is uninformed. Go on LinkedIn, search for that role across the world, across different countries. Oh, check in England, check in the US, check all of these countries, look at their profiles and write from there.